Yes, I have started the live
Okay.
broadcast.
Hello. So
Hello.
Yes, I have
Okay.
started
Yes, I
the
have
live
started.
broadcast. So, sir, first of all, what is the situation in your area, in your region, with this all COVID-19 situation?
Yes. Um, well, people are getting outside for leisure activities like walking and going to the beach and stuff like that now,
Still,
this week, just in the last week, yes. Keeping a distance,
okay.
but people are getting out and really spending as much time outside as they want to. They're not being stopped by the police or anything for that. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, approximately 50% of shops and stores are closed, and all restaurants, and I think all hotels, all gyms, leisure facilities, they're all closed. And probably I would say about 50%, 60% of other businesses are still either closed or not 100% yet.
Okay. Okay. Uh, just an update about Pakistan. Somewhat same situation here in Pakistan, and we are like it's like now 1 month that we are in lockdown, and now they are easing it out, and the some of the businesses have been started, like the export business they have started it, and the essential business. But other than that, is still not working. So overall, the situation is not good here because the people are not kind of abiding the rules that they should. Obviously, they want to get out, and other economic situation of Pakistan is not like that, that we can lock down for more than 1 month. So
Right.
these are all the constraints, but we are fighting it somehow.
Yeah.
As far as industries are concerned, industries are very much in bad shape, especially those industries who which does not work under low wastages and
Yes.
having high tax
Yes.
financial.
Yes.
So I've just heard like a day before that JC Penney has filed bankruptcy.
Okay.
So
Oh, I
yeah,
didn't know.
organizations, yes, or corporations like JC Penney,
Wow.
because
Wow.
it is our industry. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So uh,
Yeah.
the situation
Well,
in Pakistan is people are laying off, industries are laying off, and furloughs are going on.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So in this situation, you have decided a very good topic, and thanks to you that you are initiated with this topic, that post COVID-19 situation, and in respect to lean. So great initiative, sir, and everyone who are watching you right now would like to learn from you about the lean and how can the industries improve and get benefit from the lean in this situation of COVID-19 and post COVID-19.
Yes,
Sir.
absolutely. And I imagine there's quite a few people also from my conversation with Saad. There's quite a few people that are from the Lean Six Sigma delivery
Yes.
side. So trainers, consultants, and people that potentially want to get into that business as well in
Yes.
your country. Yes. So I've tried to make my presentation, or what I'll talk about is both how Lean Six Sigma needs to be reapplied in a way with a new mindset in industry, but also the way that we deliver the training and what we train needs to be adapted to meet the new world, the new normal.
Yes. The new normal.
Yes. And I see that this particular format seems to be optimized for mobile phone. So it's like a vertical format. I'm not sure how the PowerPoint will work so well.
Right. Sure. Yeah.
It should work, should it? Yeah, let me see.
Yeah.
Let me see. Let's try this because it's the first time I've used this StreamYard. So let's do share screen, and I'll go to slideshow from beginning, I suppose. Now, do you see my screen?
Not yet, sir.
Not yet. Okay. Let me go
Yeah.
back I think I have to do. Okay, application window. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Sorry about this. First time. It's very similar to Zoom, but no. Is that better? Is that better?
Yes, now it is.
Now, can you see it? Can you see it all the screen, or is it cut off because it's
No, it's clear, sir.
It's only the presentation. That we can see.
I'm afraid there's a bit. Why is that?
It's the only PPT that we can see, not the whole screen. Yes.
Ah. Okay. So that's not going to work so well. Okay. Let me see what else we can do. Okay. All right. Now it's yeah, it's landscape now.
Sir, the whole presentation was showing. The whole
It was
slide,
showing.
PPT
Okay.
was showing. Yes.
Oh, it was. Okay.
So it will work. Yes.
Right. So is it showing now? I have to share screen again.
Yeah, please share the screen.
Share screen again. Sorry about this. Share from beginning. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think we have about an hour. Is that correct? Or we can go on a little longer if people have questions.
Yes, we can. It's like 1 hour of presentation, and then we can go with the Q&A.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, yeah. Thank you for inviting me, Saad, and I'm happy to be able to introduce you to the International Lean Six Sigma Institute, which is based in the UK, and we are a relatively new organization, but we saw the need for somebody that can give education, advice, set standards, and give certifications without as many hoops to jump through that some of the other organizations seem to want to make people do. So it wants to be lean, in other words. We want to have it easy, better, faster, and cheaper. We want to have the exam process easier. But if people have questions about ILSSI later, or they want to email me, they can. ilssi.org. But I don't want to go on about that any longer. I wanted to talk about how Lean Six Sigma needs to adapt in order to still be relevant in the post-COVID-19 world, starting now, really. And do you see my face as well, or do you just hear my voice? Oh,
no, your video is also showing.
You see my face as well. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay.
So most people are familiar that Lean Six Sigma has this history to it. It came from the engineering background, from production engineering, and it came from the times of Henry Ford when he had his production line, of people like F.W. Taylor, who talked about scientific management and ergonomics and time and motion, and the statistical work of Walter Shewart and W. Edwards Deming and Joseph Juran, and people are familiar with that, and we've been sort of pushing that type of training for a number of years now, based on that type of flow production, continuous flow production, which comes from automotive idea of a production line, how to make it efficient, and then went into Six Sigma with Motorola, and we had the success of General Electric, etc. People are familiar with that. That's our standard sort of Lean Six Sigma pre-COVID-19. Now, in the last few years, people have been using Lean Six Sigma a lot for cost cutting. Unfortunately, it's been used more for cost cutting than it has been for process efficiency in terms of increased throughput or better quality. So, we think of Lean Six Sigma as both improving quality, improving throughput and flow, and also reducing costs. And since the 2008 financial crisis, a lot of companies, their motivation to use it has been the cost-cutting idea, downsizing, etc. And that's why people have been buying Lean Six Sigma courses, been, getting green belt, getting black belt, hiring green belts, hiring black belts. So we've tried to obviously educate people that it's not just about cost cutting, but that's been, the driving factor since the financial crisis. Now, in the post-COVID-19 world, what we see happening is that there's going to have to be a lot of change, a lot of adapting, and people are going to have to innovate in order to survive. So we just heard that, for example, JCPenney are going to be bankrupt, in liquidation. That was the first I'd heard of it, but it's happening. Debenhams in the UK, a lot of its stores are closing. There's going to be a lot of big name companies that don't survive because they haven't innovated enough in the past, so they're competing with the Amazons that have innovated. Well, yes. Now it's no longer an option. Until now, you could survive just about with some of the old business models. Well, in the post-COVID-19, it's about survival by innovating, adapting, restructuring your processes, redesigning your processes. And I've got in there, lean management's also important. The management mindset has to change from what is called the classical management mindset or the traditional management mindset to what is called the lean management mindset. And that's always been part of Lean Six Sigma or lean production, because the Toyota managers thought that way. But a lot of companies never got it. They tried the lean tools and techniques, but they still used their old management techniques. They used the classical management techniques, and they got away with it. And I think we're going to see the managers that innovate, the managers that use their teams, that have good team building, use the teams for problem solving, are going to be the businesses that that survive and flourish, and in the next phase. So we have to adapt to the new normal, the next phase of Lean Six Sigma. And I've got three different. I'm gonna have three different sections to this talk. The first section is going to be just about this idea of using Lean Six Sigma for solving problems and innovating in our product, in our processes, etc. And as Lean Six Sigma practitioners, as Lean Six Sigma trainers, consultants, we need to sell that mindset. You need to go to your customers, your industrial customers, your business customers, and educate them that the new mindset needs to be one of innovation, and you need to sell them the tools and techniques of innovation and train them in the tools and techniques of innovation. So innovation, problem solving, has its own set of tools and techniques that are part of the body of knowledge of Lean Six Sigma, but we're given a bit of a back seat to some of the other things in the past. Okay, and we need to adapt. We need to adapt our business by this this mindset. So, what sorts of things am I talking about with problem solving? Well, some of these things, I'm just going to jot down some of these things. So, way back in the 1930s, the Russians were using something called TRIZ, right? It's the theory of innovative problem solving, right? You might see it in English called TIPS, theory of innovative problem solving, right? We have things like design for Six Sigma, right? Design for Six Sigma has taken a back seat. Sorry, I'll just get this for Six Sigma, right? Design for Six Sigma needs to be taught more. managers and industrial engineers, business leaders need to understand Design for Six Sigma. In automotive, they're already teaching something called, let's see, have I got my pen gone? Sorry, here we are, called practical problem solving.
Yes.
Right, PPS. That can be taught as a standalone module, right? Just as Design for Six Sigma and TRIZ, you can do classes in these. It can be sold, and you can educate people in these things within the body of knowledge or the training of Lean Six Sigma, or you can do a standalone class. Other things. So we have to be able to teach them experimentation. You know, what is good experimentation? Are they running experiments on new ideas they might have to see if they work? Design of experiments. That's been part of the body of knowledge. Everybody familiar with design of experiments? This is important. And then we have, you know, some of the more advanced things like predictive modeling. Modeling. So using things like regression analysis. Are these being taught? Are we using, you know, data? Are we using the data? How to use the data efficiently? How to learn from your data. These are all new things, right? Rapid prototyping, ideas of prototyping and minimum viable product. So prototyping and MVP, minimum, you know, that sort of thing. We need to focus on these things in our training and don't do the same old, you know, 7 wastes, 8 wastes. Don't do the same old 5S, you know, and spend you know 2 days on 5S, right?
Yes.
I mean, there's a place for it, but we need to be moving on from that a little bit, you know. Let's see. Anything I missed out? Predictive modeling, of course. You know, a part of using your data is potentially using some AI techniques. Artificial intelligence, and up in this corner, how about teaching people robotic process automation, RPA, robotics, right? This is within the realm of Lean Six Sigma, because you have to go back to what is Lean Six Sigma about. It's about process improvement, and we need to be able to think about ways to improve that are not the same old ways. Yeah. Some of the things, you know, there's plenty to think about there. I'll just stop sharing for a second and give you some. Let's see. So did that stop sharing?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, stop sharing. Okay. So, you know, if you want, this is one of the best books for Design for Six Sigma by Kai Yang, right?
Okay.
Right. I mean, there's plenty of books on TRIZ, but, you know, TRIZ for Dummies, very good. Yeah, you know. And what else have we got here? You know, some of the ideas of rapid prototyping and minimum viable product are in the Lean Startup, right?
Okay.
And I think we need to redesign some of our training materials,
yes,
to fit into these sorts of things a bit more. Yeah. And business leaders, when they think of Lean Six Sigma, they don't just think 5S waste, you know, improving the flow like a production line, you know, and they don't just think of of 3.4 defects per million opportunities. You know, why spend an hour explaining that to your students when you know, when your business is going to fail because you haven't got the right products, right? You haven't got the right products, and yet we're trying to get the defect rate down to 3.4 per million. When you know, that wasn't the problem with JC Penney, you know.
Yes, that was not the problem.
So this is just section 1, and I'm just going to go back to share the screen again and show you a new word that I think we might start using in Lean Six Sigma. So I'm going to share the screen again. Hopefully you can see that. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Now, right
we
now.
can see it right now. Yeah.
Kakushin. Yeah, Kakushin. Now, what does that mean in Japanese? Now, the Toyota, you know, people working at Toyota, the Sensei's would know Kakushin. It means change through innovation. That's what it means. Change through innovation.
Innovation.
Right? Now,
yes,
we've all heard of Kaizen. You know, that's part of the, you know, body of knowledge of Lean Six Sigma. And some people might have heard of Kaikaku, which is where you need to completely, radically change the process. Kaizen is like our continuous improvement. Most people learn that at yellow belt level, right? And it's been part of the course for a long time. Kaikaku means, you know, Kaizen will not get you there. Kaizen is potentially too slow. It's incremental steps like this, right? Whereas Kaikaku is one big step up. Okay. Well, this Kakushin, and I think I've got the pronunciation right. Change through innovation, right? Transform through the advent of new innovation. Thinking out of the box, of course. Design thinking, game changers, right? That's what JC Penney were not doing, and that's what Amazon did do, you know.
yes.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to move on to the second. I think that was what I had to say about innovation. We can come back and ask questions. The second part is what's the new mindset for delivery of your products and services? I mean, it ties in with innovation, but how are we going to deliver value to the customer? And we have to adapt our supply chains, the flow of information. Now, you know, I'm talking about this both from Lean Six Sigma training point of view. How are we delivering value in our training, but also in, you know, business value delivery, right? So let's just talk about when we're training people in Lean Six Sigma. You know, the traditional way to teach Lean Six Sigma in a classroom with PowerPoint presentations, some exercises, you know, get the Lego out or get the plugs out and show them how flow works. That's a traditional sort of Lean Six Sigma training with PowerPoint. Yeah. Well, a number of things are going to have to change. I think that obviously live webinars are going to become a lot more common for training.
Yes.
We're going to cut out the, you know, it's going to be lean in that's cutting out the transport. It's cutting out the hotels. It's cutting out all the hotel conference rooms we have to hire. And people are going to adapt to delivering Lean Six Sigma training like I'm talking to you now. And we need to find new tools and techniques, just as using, you know, a virtual whiteboard, but more than that, we need to come up with ways to make classes exciting when they're done online. We need to be able to have interactive games when we're doing classes. And because of COVID-19 and the lockdown, people have become more familiar with the tools and techniques of online, but it's going to get better. So any of you out there that have Lean Six Sigma training businesses, just get ready for expecting not to have as many classroom trainings, because the good training companies are going to make the online training so good that people will say, why would I spend all that money to travel and get a hotel and go to a training class when this company does it so well online? Now, up until this point, online training's been very poor. It's been just the same old videos. It's been or it's a talking head. We will get better. We will get better at it. So I'm just going to throw some ideas here. The gamification of training, making games online. Everybody plays computer games. Why wouldn't you have a game that is training you in the tools and techniques? Virtual headsets, right? Virtual classes with headsets. Virtual classrooms with headsets, just as an idea. Is anybody doing that yet? Is anybody doing it? Live webinars. So I'm just going to throw out some names now. So pi-sims.com. They do online gaming for lean training. Now they're a partner of Lean Six Sigma, of International Lean Six Sigma Institute, but they demonstrated it at our last conference, and it was very good. It's a way to have a team, a virtual team, that are playing a game to try to optimize a process, right? And then teaching people things like simulation, process simulation. How about having training where the people in the training are building a virtual production line or building a virtual delivery system for retail or transactional process system? Companies like Simulate, SimUL8.com. Yeah. Simulate already have some of those tools. Now it's already in the cloud, that's going to become a norm that you can build things using your teams. And I just want to also say that, the way that we test people, testing, exams, right? Exams for Lean Six Sigma really haven't changed for 30 years. What we're testing people in, the same old body of knowledge.
Yes.
Right? What we're testing people in is not relevant for 2021. Our exams need to have innovative problem solving in them. They need to have predictive modeling testing. They need to have an understanding. People need to understand, if you're a black belt, there should be elements of the exam about artificial intelligence, about design, more about design for Six Sigma. This regression's already in there, but how do you use that to use your historical data to find out, to get learning, to get information that's useful, right? Now, that's all about training. Now, if you're a business, obviously the way you deliver your product as well, this is just saying the new normal blockchain RPA, but your business needs to adapt its workflow it needs to adapt how it's delivering things. Whether you're a Target or an ex-JC Penney employee, or you're a Target store, look at the way you deliver value. Look at how the customer receives value from your company. Is it efficient? Is the supply chain efficient? And here's another thing, and I don't know whether you can see that word at the bottom, but business process management, BPM tools, right? Now they're sold. People generally sell those as like separate from Lean Six Sigma, right? But really, you should be using BPM tools and techniques, like Adonis software for Adonis. I think it's Adonis.com. For BPM, that should be introduced in Lean Six Sigma classes, because people still don't understand their best process. It makes me think of a manager of a football team or a cricket team. A lot of people in Pakistan love cricket, right?
Yes.
Does the manager of that cricket team know what their best team is? That's a question that you often ask. Does the manager even know what the best team is? Who's best in every position? Well, do businesses really know their best delivery system? Do they know their best supply chain? Do they know their best value stream? Let's just write that, the value stream. So value stream mapping has always been important. It's still going to be important. But I think the change is when you change your value stream, when you change your business process map, it's going to be a radical change. Or it's going to be, you need Karkushin, you need innovation, you need innovative thinking, Karkushin. Yeah? Is that all right? Okay. Okay. The third point I wanted to make is that management behavior has to change. And it's for Lean Six Sigma trainers, coaches, consultants to keep at this idea that there is a management style which is the best style for an efficient and optimal organization. And that style is not classical management. It's not the management of Sloan and the old General Motors, right? It's not the old management style of the head of JC Penney, right? Right? It's more the style of Elon. Yeah, it's a style of Musk. There's a bit of feedback there. Sorry. It's the style of Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. We need to change the behavior. Now, my favorite author and guru leader for lean management is Bob Emiliani, Professor Bob Emiliani. And I don't know how Bob, got such deep insights into this, but he's been doing it for a long time, and he's got such a great vision for what management should be. He's written dozens of books, actually, but anybody that's interested to learn about what we mean by lean management and the new management style, please look up Bob Emiliani. He's on LinkedIn, and look up look up on Amazon some of his books. So Real Lean. So he talks about, real lean versus fake lean, right? And there's been too much fake lean. And we can't get away with it anymore. You won't get away with fake lean anymore. So we have to educate it's our duty as Lean Six Sigma leaders to educate people in real lean. And I've learned it from Bob Emiliani, and you can too, and then you can help spread the word. Yeah. So I like this book. Lean is not mean, right? Lean is not about. It's not about just cost cutting. Sorry. I'm gonna say. Sorry. It's not about cost cutting, and it's about respect for workers. Right. In fact, one consequence of the COVID-19 in the UK, at least, I'll give you a perspective from the UK, and I don't know whether it's the same in Pakistan, but the workers that have been the most necessary in this COVID-19 crisis, the workers that have been the most necessary are some of the lowest paid workers, right? And some people are beginning to recognize that we haven't respected the people that have been actually delivering some of the most value in our society. We haven't up until this point. So maybe people are now becoming to a different mindset. And what I'm talking about are of course, the care workers, the frontline nurses, but also the truck drivers, right? The people that work in warehouses. If Amazon and online delivery companies were not efficient at this time, look at the mess, how much greater the mess would be. But also, of course, all the health workers. Now, a lot of them are getting paid, much in the lower 50%, or the lower two quartiles of salaries. We have to respect workers. We have to respect the cleaners that are cleaning up to get rid of the virus, right? So this is a new mindset, and I have a feeling that society is not going to put up with disrespecting workers like that anymore. Hopefully they won't, but I think it might be a turning point. Let's see. The ban, not just respect, but I'm talking about Hoshin Kanri. So if you haven't heard about Hoshin Kanri, it means having a long-term plan, like a 5-year plan for your business, having a goal, a target, and then setting up what needs to be done in terms of projects and what are the checks and balances, the gate reviews, when are the reviews done? Are we making progress in the right direction? Are we all as a company focused on the same target? Are we aligned, breaking down silos between departments? Yeah. This is part of what's going to be necessary. Companies that have too many silos and don't have the same vision across all departments are going to fail, right? Quality circles, bringing problem solvers from different departments, different teams to work on problems. Upstream workers, downstream workers coming together to where the problem is and working as a quality circle. I mean, quality circles have been around for decades. Ask my colleague David Hutchins, who's in his 80s. He's done some work with the ILSSI. He was using quality circles back in the 1960s and 70s when he was working with Joseph Duran, and so it's nothing new, but we need to have a new focus on it. And of course the famous Gemba walks, right? If anybody hasn't heard of the idea of Gemba, that's on the call, Google it, right? Google Gemba, and actually sometimes in Japanese wrote Genba as well. That's not wrong. It's just a different pronunciation, I believe, or dialect. But Genba or Gemba and Gemba walks, and then very importantly, listen to workers. Listen to workers and involve the workers. So involve the workers in your problem solving, in your strategy, getting people aligned. And Pascal Dennis, no relation. I wish I could say he was, but Pascal Dennis is very, very good on this subject of alignment within a company, breaking down silos, having a common target. And I've got, where did I put if I stop sharing the screen, I suppose.
Yes.
Yeah. Stop sharing, and then I go. Yeah. So I recommend this book here. It's a very easy book to read, which for me helps. Getting the Right Things Done, by Pascal Dennis. Very good. Management, and then as I say, don't forget about Bob Emiliani.
Yes.
How we're doing for time? We've got about 15 minutes left. Yeah.
15 minutes left. Yes.
Yeah. So let's see. I'll just share screen again. Sorry. Share screen.
So with as you have mentioned, employee empowerment, that it's the part of Ocean Conra. With employee empowerment, we have some issues, that we have to go through a change management, in which we have to empower them. But again, the accountability should be good and other things. So this is the issue, that we first have to train our employee, and then we have to get better from them.
Yes. There needs to be good change management, within a company. So we're not saying that anybody can do anything they like at any time. There needs to be, controls and governance. But
yes,
the controls are not about command and control. It's not about don't do it just because I know better than you. It's encouraging people to come up with new ideas and actually showing them that their ideas are valuable, and there is a process for using their ideas and actually implementing their ideas.
And with this COVID-19 situation, that we cannot get on ground everywhere, like the retailers cannot get into the factories to get things inspected. Now we have to give empowerment to vendors, to our suppliers, and same with to our employees.
Yes.
That we have to now, with this situation, we don't have any option other than that we have to give them empowerment.
We have to trust them. Managers need to trust their employees,
Yes.
respect the honesty and integrity of their employees. And when employees see that managers do trust them, they'll live up to it. They will respect their management more and actually will be more committed.
True.
Let's just see if I've got what else I've got in here. The old Plan, Do, Check, Act, which some of you might know, originated with Walter Shewett in the 1930s. So this has been around for now, 90 years, more or less. But it's still a very good model for change. Yeah. So this is something we should be training people in, teaching people the true meaning of a change cycle, for innovation or for improvement. Yeah. Continuous improvement. But remember, Karkushin, the new word for today, Karkushin,
Yes.
using innovation.
Yes, well, yes.
Okay. So identify improvement opportunities. That's going to come from the workers or anybody. Create the right team. Use a quality circle to develop a team. Don't just leave it to one person or to the manager, or plan the approach, what approach you're going to take. Try it. Do experiments with it. Do a minimum viable product. Do a test, right? Then check, has it worked? Has the improvement worked? Has the problem been solved? Yeah. And then act. So we're going to adapt. If it has worked, we're going to adapt it. We're going to standardize it. Now, that word standardization or standardize has been part of lean thinking for a long time. But when it's taught, often people get the wrong idea about standardization. They think a standard should be something set in stone or locked in concrete, that, once it's a standard, we can't change it. And the mindset really is, and the mindset always for Toyota was, the standard is only as good as until we find a new standard, until we find an improved standard. So the old standard's only as good as its lifespan is only until we find a better way to do it. And I don't think that's being taught in that way properly.
No, it does not.
Right?
Standard is like some third party. It is like something. As you have said.
You see. Yeah. And one of the problems has been things like ISO 9001, right, or ISO 9000. They are like standard crazy because they want everything. They want a standard for everything. Documented the standard. It takes a long time to have all that documentation done. So management, then once they've got the standard, don't want to change it because it's just like too much work, too much hassle, blah 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 blah. Unfortunately, in the post-COVID-19 world, with innovation as fast as it's going to be going, we have to be changing standards a lot quicker, right? And ISO need to catch up with that, right?
Because we have to make the new SOP in ISO related to COVID-19 and all that, how to make the things related to safety measures and all that.
I haven't made that part of my presentation, but it's a very good point. Yes, the new safety that is required in the post-COVID-19 world, and how that changes how people interact, how they build their processes is of course very important. And I actually probably should have had a section on that, but I haven't. So thanks for bringing that up. But we'll have to change our standards in order to be safe or safer. Yeah.
I think the clause will be added in next version of ISO in health safety or ISO 9001 about the COVID-19. It's a different section in the ISO standards.
Yeah. Correct. But again, we should not stick to that only. It also consists of what environment we are in. It may change, as you have said, that standards are not only the thing which are writing on the wall. So it should be changed with the environment, as you have suggested.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And this is the Plan, Do, Check Act, the PDCA. This is a standard. You've probably a lot of it. You will have seen this, diagram, PDCA, and then sometimes people show a wedge, don't they? Once you've got it, you put a wedge in here that stops it from falling backwards. So that's the like standardize or re-standardize, right? I think Americans spell it with a Z, right? Re-standardize. Yeah. But re-standardize, each time you improve. So we've got this is an improvement. That's an improvement. That's an improvement. Now, this might be 1 year, right?
Yeah.
You might change your standard 4 times in a year,
True.
right? And each time you're improving.
True.
Yeah. So, in summary, we have to adapt. We have to adapt Lean Six Sigma to the new normal of the post-COVID-19 world. And what I was been saying is that problem solving and innovation is going to be key. Understanding how we deliver value to the customer effectively is going to be key. And adapting management behavior to be more like lean management and less like classical management will also be key. But I would also say about the safety part, which was important. So with that, I'll just stop sharing and I'll see if anybody has got any questions or comments. There's a very good comment.
Can we add comments, Bang?
Do we have people in chat?
Yes, we have a comments.
Live comments. Let me see. Sorry, live comments. Oh, I see some. I see some comments here. Okay. So, should I read some of the comments?
Sure, sir. Sure, you can. No problem.
Oh, one of them was the. I didn't. Did that get turned off? Did it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've got an echo now. Is there something? Is somebody turned off their mute or something? Right.
It's okay, sir. It's fine.
That's better. Okay.
Now. Yeah,
All right.
I showed this comment, sir, on the screen if you can see.
Oh, yes, please. So the first one from Taimur Hassan. Hello, Taimur. Is Monte Carlo simulation an effective tool for predictive modeling? Please share some industrial example of this application. It is a model that's used in risk management. I'm familiar with it more in the area of risk management for building a risk model, and I have not used it. I have not used it in predictive modeling, so I don't. It maybe can be used. I just unfortunately don't have the experience with Monte Carlo. I've only ever used it with predicting risk, and it is very good for that. Next question. Is Karkashin the same concept as business process re-engineering? Okay. I would say that Kaikaku is more like business process re-engineering, which is a radical change to the way you do things, but not necessarily innovative. It's so yeah, business process re-engineering is let's restructure let's look at our current process. Let's look at our current business process. Let's restructure it in a more efficient way, and do it in one big go. Don't do it in small increments. But Kaikashin is like bringing in these innovative tools. So you might be doing something completely different. You might change your business. You might change your product completely, change your service completely. Any difference between a factory elevation plan and business strategy? A factory elevation plan. Now, I have to admit, I'm not so familiar with factory elevation plan. Saad, or who said?
Sir, yes. Factory elevation plan is actually a plan in which we look at the supplier management system improvement, keeping in TPM, total productive maintenance, and these kind of things in factory elevation plan. Yes. So
okay,
it's a 1 year plan for improvement.
All right, elevate. Do you know where that phrase comes from, or who elevation, meaning raising up the
the
whole
standard,
efficiency
the overall performance.
in overall. All right, so increasing like OEE, etc. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And business strategy. Okay, so the business strategy or strategic planning, strategic deployment is a bigger picture, a bigger, higher level view of what we're trying to achieve in 5 years. I would say something like total productive maintenance, OEE, are components in that strategic plan. So you have to have good total productive maintenance, and that's going to be part of the plan, but it's not the whole strategy. What do you think about that, Saad or Husif?
Yes. Yeah, it's actually business strategy is something like a 5-year plan based on managerial level, whereas factory elevation plan is more technical, more tactical.
Tactical, yeah.
Yes.
Tactical, yeah.
And it's like one
business strategy is like a said about Hoshin Kanri, like I think so. It's the same as like a business strategy.
Yeah, Hoshin Kanri would be business strategy, or and factory elevation plan is more like Kaizen or continuous improvement, I would say.
Yes. Sure.
Let's see. Any other? Can you see any other comments?
These are all on the Facebook, but I have some other questions. Like,
okay.
Can we, this Kakushin, that word you have changed through innovation? Are there any specified tools for this changing through innovation that we can use?
Well, one of my favorite British academics, he's got the concept of the 5 thinking hats.
Yes.
Right, Edward de Bono. Edward de Bono. Great mind. And I don't know why business leaders and politicians have not been listening to Edward de Bono more. What a great, resource. Look up Edward de Bono, look up the 5 thinking hats, or it could sometimes 6. It's 6 or 5?
6, sir. It's 6.
6, sorry.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, that would fall into a tool for Kakashi. Yeah.
Okay.
But Triz as well. Practical problem solving, the idea of the funnel, the idea of brainstorming ideas, fishbone diagrams, affinity diagrams, Pew matrices, weighted criteria matrix, the whole bag of brainstorming tools all help with Kakushin. Yeah. And definitely the whole bag of experimental tools. So you should get out your Design for Six Sigma toolkit, right? Get out the axiomatic thinking. Get out your P diagrams, your parameter diagrams. Talk about signal to noise ratio. All that needs to be better understood by business managers, industry engineers, and it's up to Lean Six Sigma can play a big part in that education. We can sell it, as I said in one of those slides. You have to sell it. You have to sell these things.
True. And there is one more comment which says in places like Pakistan and China, we have a problem like the labor is very much cheap. So convincing management to go for AI or big data or Industry 4.0 is somehow difficult. because the labor is cheap, so they say that what is actually the benefit, financial benefit out of it. So how can we make a point over this? Like if the labor is cheap, that why should not we go for AI, artificial intelligence, or
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
is the
Yeah, that's
concept
a
here in
standard
China.
argument. Yeah. Yeah. And thanks for bringing up Industry 4.0. Yeah, I probably should have put that in the presentation at some point. But yeah, it's to do with Industry 4.0. And yeah, that's always going to be the counter argument you'll hear. Well, they'll either say labor is cheap, or what do we do with the labor? We don't want to. Doesn't it mean that then we have less people employed? And I think our argument as Lean Six Sigma always has to be: you cannot have more unemployment than when a business goes bust, right?
Yes.
If a business does not exist anymore, everybody's unemployed, right? At least with a growing business, if you use Industry 4.0, if you use AI correctly, as Amazon has been doing, you start expanding, you start hiring more people. But they're doing different things, right? They're doing different things. They're using technology rather than doing things manually. They're you know, the Amazon warehouse, they're you know, not programming robots, but they're acting with robots. They're learning new skills. How do I use the robot in a way that to help me? And instead of it all being, you know, muscle, you know.
Yes.
So
True.
I think, yeah, I just say, if you don't do it, then it's going to cost you even more. It might cost you to do it, but if you don't do it, it's going to cost you everything.
Yes. Like
Okay, I have
another retailer.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
I have one question. Can you please tell us about about Sigma 1.5 Sigma shift, please?
Yeah. Right. Oh yeah, that old chestnut. Yeah. So the 1.5 Sigma shift. So when Motorola were putting together their Six Sigma methodology for quality, they found that over the long term, processes tended to deteriorate because more sources of variation would creep in. So you had short-term variation and you had long-term variation. In the short term, you didn't see the long-term variation. And that's due to things like training skills might not get updated, turnover of workers, machine wear, environmental changes. So you actually had more variation over the long term. And they said it was about 1.5 standard deviations. If you knew what the standard deviation, the amount of variation you had between, and again, it's going to get a little complicated, but between the mean of the process and the closest specification limit, then you might expect there to be an extra 1.5 standard deviations of variation beyond that in the long term. Now, that was what Motorola used as their addition when they calculated their process sigma level. And this is how they came up with their 3.4 defects per million opportunities, right? Because in the long term, they said it's okay to only have actually 4.5 standard deviations between the mean and the specification limit. We've lost 1.5 standard deviations. We don't have 6, we have 4.5. And if you do the mathematics on a normal distribution and you look at the percentage of defect, the percentage outside a specification limit with 4.5 standard deviations, you find it to be 3.4 per million, right?
True.
So like what 1.7 per million on each tail. But anyway, it's caused more confusion and put more people off Six Sigma than any other element of Six Sigma. The 1.5 standard deviation shift is not what is important about Six Sigma. And yet we spend hours trying to explain to people about it. And really, it's not that important. And it's also not important because that 1.5 was a rule of thumb for Motorola, but it does not apply to a process in Target, for example, where you work, right?
Yes.
You would see it. It might be 0.3 standard deviations in Target, or it might vary so much that you don't even use it. So I think it's one of these things that crept into the body of knowledge and people just obsessed about it. But yet the quicker we can get away from it, the better, because it wastes a lot of time.
True. So if you can see the same comment that is from Taimur Hassan, it's displaying on the
isn't calculated
screen.
An unnatural approach, because natural processes cannot be predicted like Motorola did it. I would agree with that. Yeah. Often in the long term, we can't predict what the variation is going to be. So we do short-term studies, and we might use CPK or PPK or process sigma level in the short term, find it out, and then measure it again. Have we got worse or better? Right? Are we improving or are we getting worse? Is our CPK going up or not? So
Yes.
try not to spend too much time on 1.5 sigma shift when you're teaching classes. If possible, just don't mention it.
That's a very good suggestion. So it's now 1 hour 15 minutes. Thank you very much, sir, for your
My pleasure.
So much generous time and the way you explained each and everything, and you actually imparted knowledge to other people. Thank you very much for that. Boxbrain has been establishing these kind of webinars from like last 10 days mainly, and but this is the best one. I can tell you this as per the knowledge impartment and other things, and the way you just frankly, I have to say, with all the emotions in that don't go into these things and just focus on the actual things, which is business strategy. So don't go so much tactical, go with the aerial view and go with the innovation and change through innovation.
Correct.
So this is a great session, I have to say.
Thank you.
Sir, what I have learned, start with the small, then go for the big.
Absolutely. That's also very important that we do this, in bite-sized chunks, get some success with this type of new thinking or new management or innovation, new tools, have some success, build upon that success, and it will get bigger and bigger. So good point there, Syed. And I'll send you the presentation as well, so anybody I suppose that wants it can get it from you. Yep.
Yes, sir. Sure, you can send me.
Well, thanks for putting it on, and all the technology worked very well. So congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Good luck with everything. All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you. Bye. Good
Stay
evening.
safe.
Bye. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Afan, just uncut the live, please. Please live, cut the live option, please.